Hey Brickmaniacs, welcome back to another Designer Studio episode, Mary Wilson's first Designer Studio episode, which is totally awesome, and we have a great kit to show off. This is the updated Bradley, but before we dive into that a little bit, Mary, tell me about yourself. What brought you to Brickmania? You know, welcome to the team. So much to say on a first episode.
Yeah, so I just graduated from the University of Minnesota with a Bachelor of Science in Product Design. And actually one of my professors is neighbors with someone else who works here. So I got that connection, had an interview or kind of like an informal tour during like last spring and then started in June. So it's been fun so far.
Sweet. Well, yeah, and then you got your feet wet right away.
Yeah.
Dove right into this awesome creation. So tell me a little bit about your first days here and kind of getting used to, you know, the building, the people, the systems, and all things Brickmania.
Yeah, so I guess I started going around different portions of the building, helping with like packaging and like production and just getting to know everybody and kind of the whole process, which was super useful. Also helped me like learn all of the official names for all the bricks, which is something I didn't know. And from there I started on the micro brick battle kit, so that was great to start on a smaller scale before I dove into the Bradley. And it was just kind of like getting a hang of using Bricklink and L-Draw to create the models and all of that.
There's a lot that goes into being a designer. That's quite the title, isn't it? Yeah, right. It's cool to see you experiencing that. So when you were getting ready to do the Bradley, when you moved on from the micro brick battle stuff and you sat down with Dan's prototype, was it just kind of like oh my goodness, or was it like I can't wait to modify this and change it?
Well, I definitely was excited to start, but he kind of like brought me the old model, and then I was looking at other instructions and I was like, all right, like here I go.
That's awesome.
Getting started, but yeah.
So what was step one? What did you take on?
Yeah, step one was probably changing the base. So I changed it so it was all, so all the bricks were to the side.
Okay.
Before it was kind of like a less sturdy base, and I was kind of looking at some of the newer models that like Cody and Dan were doing, like the instructions, and just looking at their techniques and see how I can apply it to the older model. So that was probably the first thing I did, was redo that, and then that also gave it a chance to have like the semi-functional suspension.
Sure. Which, especially for people who like to do those terrain-heavy mocks, that suspension is something that's really cool to show off, especially with a little good photography.
Yeah, and also with that, that was when I think Cody showed me how to, like our little hack with the cone and the wheel. Yes,
stretching the rubber over the tire. That, since it came out in like the first kit, it's been showing its head up all over the place.
Yeah, I mean it's perfect scale for this Bradley, so I used that, and that was pretty funny to use that unorthodox Lego technique, but pretty fun. And then kind of from there, I was redoing all of the, basically going step by step and checking to see if any of the parts weren't available anymore, because just had to do like a general part update, because it was from like 2016.
Yeah, sure.
Earlier?
The old Bradley was definitely a while ago, and who knows what version too? It could have been like version 3 already.
Yeah,
right.
So I had to double check all of those and made some part replacements where I could. I was double checking all of the scale and stuff, which seemed pretty good, which is why when you look at it, a lot of the details look the same. But I added some new features with different hatches, and you can actually take off this back part. And so you can get more minifigs in there, which I think is really great.
Yeah, that's some sweet playability.
Yeah. So that was one bigger request. Ooh, just breaking everything.
Sorry, better you than me. Disintegrate.
Yeah, I guess it's my model. It's better. Yeah. And then, of course, the reactive tile armor.
Yeah, holy smokes, that printing.
Yeah, this is my first time seeing it, so I'm kind of blown away and like keep touching it because it's 3D.
Yeah, right. That texture printing definitely adds a little bit of extra. And then like, I mean, excellent job, because this is yet another one of those Brickmania models that kind of blurs the line where this is one that when people walk into the store, they're like, is that Lego?
Right.
You know, like, what is that? Do you guys make your own bricks? And it's like, no, we just make it look that sweet.
Yeah, its texture printing is so impressive. This way. I keep touching it.
Well, cool. I'm really glad that you're happy with your initial model. Obviously, the Brickmaniacs were, because it sold out in its initial weekend. But we will have more coming back. This will be the Bradley going forward. Anything else you'd like to touch on this design?
I don't know. I think that's about it.
Okay, sweet. Well, it does come with one minifigure. So now let's take it over to Landon. Hear a little bit more about the minifig that's included with this Bradley. Okay, so now we are joined by Landon because we're going to take a look at the awesome figure that's included with this kit.
Yes.
One we've seen before, but at the same time,
yeah, let's go over it again.
One that works, yeah.
Yeah, so it's decked out in that multicam or OCP camouflage pattern that you find commonly on tankers. One thing to note with these tanker boots, sometimes I guess the thought is that laces, they have a higher chance of getting caught on things. They maybe also constrict blood flow a little bit, and that's kind of a thought going back to World War I, World War II, and you'll still see that tradition kind of carried on today in their footwear. So there's this big leather belt that wraps around the boot once or twice, and I have that represented here on the boots. Moving up, simple loadout. Again, they're inside of a vehicle, so we have this plate carrier vest with some fragmentation resistant fabric. I think that's part of that. Represented here with the webbing. Moving around, we have the patch. Again, they're inside of a vehicle, so the need to be completely subdued is a bit less, but they are still identified. But they're wearing that the full color patch on their shoulder, red, white, and blue, and with the yellow border. And so then, just because they're in a vehicle, so they don't necessarily need to be as sneaky, I guess.
Sure.
And what else? Moving up, we have the tanker helmet with the comm set, and then we have the balaclava and goggles with a little bit of simulated reflection on there. So maybe he's peeking his head out of the hatch, and you can kind of see the horizon line in the goggles. And that's the figure.
Okay, that's.
Do
really
you have
cool.
any questions?
Well, that's one of those things where that's why I like to hear him talk about some of this stuff, because you look at it and your figures, especially the modern ones, there's a lot to unpack. You can stare at the artwork for a while, and that's before you even get to the Easter eggs. But then that kind of stuff, there's a reflection in the goggles. How the heck would you ever know that looking at the figure unless you hear the designer talk about it? So that's one of the reasons we do these, and that's really cool.
I mean, it is a ton of fun doing all the research for this and trying to get it historically accurate. We're trying to do stuff that we want to do, that we're actually interested in. We're not just watching the market to see what everybody else is doing. So it's fun to actually kind of trailblaze with these different types of figures and different pieces of artwork within those figures themselves. So a lot of fun. Brilliantly
put. Could have said it better myself. So that is the Designer Studio episode for the new Bradley with all of this awesome texture printing designed by Mary Wilson. Make sure to tune in next time when we take another look at another Brickmania kit.